Hello, everyone. I want us to close the month with Abba's guidance, and for some reason, he brought Jeremiah 15. I always start my sayings or my videos with saying that I am spiritual. So even though I believe in the Christian walk, I do see how indoctrination has changed the true words of Jesus into something that shouldn't be, regardless of. Jeremiah 15 in the Bible is a chapter where God actually gives a final judgment. We live in a world in where we are swayed when we're not sovereign. And the most common reason that we're swayed when we are living in this world is because of the attachments. Attachments to the material stuff, attachments to many things. When I was recovering, this idea, this vision, this mission came into mind by a channeling. And this experience has not only opened my eyes into how misunderstood is the true walk of Jesus, but also how hypocrites we have become with one another. Everything now is fake it till you make it. Who has the nicest post? Who has the nicest clothing? Everybody is just like faking it till you make it. Like, you guys are gonna see me some days I'm gonna be with my hair up like crazy, some days I'm gonna be with my hair down, and I don't care if people like me or not. I don't care if people like how I look or not. That's not the point. The point is being authentic. Authenticity comes from a lot of experiences in life, and being a healer, I have had the blessing of not only seeing myself in others, but seeing what others can heal, to live a life that is free of chains. And for a moment there, when I was stuck in a specific energy that I could not recognize based on the fact of knowing who I am, I doubted for a while. I asked, why am I here? Why am I to learn about it? And I did not only learn things about other people, I learned so many things about myself. Things that probably we overlook because we think we're doing things right, or because we were told, or because we were taught. And that's when I found out how bad it is to be indoctrinated and how bad it is to be in a place where what you're living is not the truth. It's just a cover. So I've always been a go-getter. Whenever I want something for myself, I go get it myself. I don't ask anyone for it. But there was a time in where I had a lot of blessings and blessed people and people that loved me, that knew that I was in a bed, that I wasn't able to do me, that I wasn't able to go out and hustle if I had to, because I've learned that there's another way of hustling, and it's not the hustle that everybody knows, which is the famous grind, right? A lot of people think that grinding double, triple, fourth, 5, 7, 8, 10 times is gonna give them what they want. And when they live in that mentality, they're actually overlooking the best and most beautiful blessings in life, that is family. Family is not only your husband, your wife, your kids. Family is the people that misses you when you're not around, the people that don't lie to you in your face, the people that are honest with you. That's true family, because we all have these family members that are so used to lying into getting what they want you to do that we overlook ourselves, and we overlook what we want, who we are, what will make me, not them, happy. And I've always been a rebel, and I call myself a rebel because when people want to box me in, I may fight like a turtle upside down, but I won't let anyone tell me that I am not capable of dreaming my dreams and doing what I want. So it took me a while to recover from a long journey, not a journey of love, but mostly a journey of awakening to the true unconditional love that Abba has to give us. And the most beautiful thing that I learned is that I can be myself again based on the fact that I took the initiative to stop looking outside for what's within. And I discovered something very beautiful. People are happy. They're happy when they have a face in a camera. They're happy when they're around friends. But when the closed doors, when you go to that place, when the door closed, the curtain goes down, the camera is off, who are you? Because it's only you and yourself. And that silence is what people fear. That's what they always are in the street trying to find the next best thing. That silence is what people fear. I remember people telling me, oh, but your jewelry, you should put it out there and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe I need this or I need that. Because I like my things to be planned, not because I want to be structured. It's because of my condition. I don't want to have stressful events that I don't need in my life, or provoke myself into falling back into that era. So I learned how to train my brain. I learned how to train myself. I learned how to understand that the fear that I had is that I didn't know that my body was going to react a certain way. I didn't know how my mind was going to actually overthink things. I didn't know a lot of things. So as soon as I learned things, I just released them, because they don't have power. Because everything that has power in your life is having that power because you gave that power to a person, to a place, to a situation. So I'm the type of person that I will observe, see everything around me. I will learn. I will listen. I may not act in the moment because that's not who I am. I just wait. Wait for the time where Abba says the time is now, and things like that. Now, there was parts of the journey that were very funny because Abba was giving me messages and I was giving them forward thinking it was a message for somebody else. And it was so funny because I'm like, yeah, if I was the other person, probably I will run the other way, right? And it was funny because when you realize it, like, how naive we are at times, or how ignorant we are at times of our own capabilities. You start seeing yourself differently and seeing people through his eyes. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful because you don't hear any more judgment. You don't hear any more complaints. You hear the truth that's hiding behind words, behind sounds, behind lies. And then when you hear that truth, it's when you can see the heart of people. Because their true heart speaks, yet their mind doesn't let them act. It is so beautiful to to get Abba to say that Jeremiah 15 is God's final irreversible judgment on Judea or Judah. Not because anyone wants things to get even. It's because sometimes we call judgment and we're not judged. We're not judges. But when he calls judgment, it's different because he either forces you to see what you don't want to see or pushes you down the slide so you can actually go to the other side. And that is so beautiful because there comes a time and space where the mission, the vision is not lost, it's actually rediscovered. It actually has a brand new meaning and a meaning that is beautiful to share with others. This month, I just said, I'm not going to be the rock that steps in my way. I'm going to get out of my own way. And I did get out of my own way. I started moving a hobby into a business, opened my own store online, put myself out there back into the channel, started posting again, but this time from a different space. And even though sometimes he says tough things and I deliver the messages, in my heart there's only love. I understood that Abba was a father, and we are the father and the mother that at times we didn't have. Therefore, if we learn to raise ourselves as good people, then we will be surrounded automatically of people that vibrate and think like us. For empaths, it's a little bit difficult to grasp energies and release them. And one of the things that I've learned in this specific environment that I am in is energy has the power for anyone to transform it. But energy cannot be transformed if you don't believe in yourself. And for years, I posted beautiful, positive things and affirmations, but there was still a little fear in there. A fear not of being myself. I've always been myself. But I think it was a fear of being judged for what I did. Because as I said it once, I don't understand why am I channeling these messages if I still don't know how to be this person. And I wasn't lying. It was the truth. I prefer 20 times a person that tells me the truth as someone that comes with this fake sweetness. Because that fake sweetness can only sway the people that are not sovereign. And we all have been there. But in the moment that you're sovereign and you know how to distinguish not only energies, but intuitively grasp the energy of others, you stop not caring about them, caring about their vain words. Sometimes I say messages that are straight to the point because the truth is the only thing that can set you free. And I set myself free by seeing the mirror and seeing my reflection instead of pointing the finger at other people's reflections on me. There's two sides of every story. And in life, we tend to assume things that we don't know. And when we start assuming, the brain starts taking power. But when we also allow others to speak in our ear lies, our brain still grasp power. I don't justify myself or anyone out there. That's not the case. Everybody is grown up enough to know what they're doing. But what I learned about the teachings of Abba is how to see people from different eyes, not to justify them, not to accept that myself or anyone reacts without thinking, but to understand that we all have something to heal. And that person may be this way today, but tomorrow they're going to be the best person in the world because they learned the lesson. But sometimes people don't want to face themselves. They're too scared to look at the mirror, and they're too scared to actually tell the truth. And that's true. In my life, it was backwards. I always said the truth, and people were saying I was lying. And it still happens. And the reason why is because I don't have a filter. It's fun because the more I read into the different conditions like ADHD, PTSD, bipolar disorder, I now have a different perception of how people communicate. And that's why I'm trying to learn to communicate in a way that is more, not hypocritical, but more understood by people that may not have the condition and may not understand how we communicate. But it's beautiful because you can see even deeper. And every time you change something about yourself, you're growing. Every time you change something about yourself, you're evolving. And every time you actually grasp this sense of oneness, you learn true compassion, which is not the same and cannot be explained differently. So looking at this here, right here, I have it in my computer right in front of me. Jeremiah 15:16-11 KJV. Irreversible judgment. Abba gives us chances, a lot of them. Abba gives us chances to redeem ourselves. Abba gives us chances to transform ourselves. But sometimes he has to push us to the deepest limit so we actually take the first step. A lot of people in this world have the tendency to mock and bully others. And I cannot say I never did it. And the reason why I cannot say I never did it is because by defending myself, I sounded like a bully. And I always remember saying, I cannot believe that a person that went through the things that I went through can become a bully. And then I saw it. You can, and the reason why you became a bully is because you learned to defend yourself, and every time you thought that you were going to go through the same hole, you're just going to rasp for air, venting out, acting out, doing things that are normal to your body. But the moment that you actually acknowledge it, you know you're in control. And when you know you're in control, it's because you're sovereign. So if you close your eyes and you repeat, I am sovereign, let it all in. I am sovereign. I am sovereign. No one can take you out of that place unless you allow it. It's fun because when I joined pharmacy, I was skeptical of the product, right? And then I became a true believer of the product. But this is different. Nobody told me it was going to be good. I was like, actually backwards thinking that's not going to work with my PTSD. When it worked, it not only gave me back myself, but my ability to be the person that I always was, a go-getter, the one that always works on her ideas, that starts and finishes plans, instead of being that little girl that always left things left half away. So in less than, 2 months, I did what I couldn't do in years because I was still healing. And I'm back into being myself. And that sensation of freedom, I think, is the freedom that I was looking for to have in collaborations, when all my life I've known that I can do things by my own. So it's fun. How can you go from knowing that you can do things on your own to wanting to do things with someone else for whatever reason? That's why I think humanity loses themselves in relationships or in wearing masks. Because at the end of the row, you're just wearing a mask to be accepted. But you're failing yourself because you're not true to who you are. And if you have a good heart and that heart got broken, the next person is not the one responsible to accept the mistreatment. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. When Abba pours wisdom on you, he starts by making you search for answers. And it's all over the Bible. It says, search and you will find. But you have to open your eye. And your eye is not this one or this one. Your eye comes with this one being aligned. I'm not saying I will never, ever have an episode, because I'm learning still how to manage it. But I'm learning that my body responds to what I wanted to respond. So I remembered when I was young and I did tutoring. I had one of my kids was an ADHD patient, and there was no way to sit him down to study. And I told his mom, let me handle him. And she's like, yeah, right. And I'm like, let me handle him. He was about to fail. In less than a month, the kid started acing everything. So the mom came one day and said, no, I need to know what the hell you're doing. And I started laughing, and I'm like, I'm doing what he needs me to do. And she asked, what is that? And I'm like, he doesn't want to concentrate or focus because he has to be jumping. So I go play ball with him, baseball. I catch and throw with him. And every time he misses, he has to answer a question. Every time I miss, I get to, like, every time I miss, no, every time I throw a good throw, he has to answer me a question. So he doesn't get bored because he's playing. And she looks at me and I'm like, okay. And then she came one day into the room and he was playing with his G.I. Joes. And his mom looked at me and is like, aren't you supposed to be studying? And I'm like, we are. And she's like, but he's learning. And she asked me why. And I'm like, because every time he plays with a G.I. Joe, I ask him what he likes about the G.I. Joe. And if the phonetic sound of what he's saying sounds like what he needs to memorize for school, then I tell him, okay, so G.I. Joe this, blah, 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 blah. And he learns it. So that's how he's saying things. And I'm like, yeah, it's by association. Same happens in life, people. You learn by association. So if you're associating yourself with people that have bad habits, you're going to literally act like them, not because you're like them. You're going to act like them because you're scared sometimes of making them feel bad because you changed. But true fact here is we all come from different places in life. We all have done good and bad things in life, but only the one that knows how to retreat. It's not leaving people behind because you're mean. It's because you love them and you want to give them the chance for them to go through life and experiences as they have to. Why do I say this? It's very simple. I always said that everyone has free will. I have free will. You have free will. And when I started under indoctrination, trying to explain something, I understood that there's no way that within indoctrination you can teach love. It's not happening. That's why humanity is in the place that it is right now. You cannot teach love with conditions. You cannot teach love with control. You cannot teach love like that at all. And we're so indoctrinated in doing that sometimes I hear parents speaking to their kids. And I'm like, please, God, if I ever can adopt a kid or have a kid, thank you for teaching me the truth and the wisdom behind the walk. Because if I am able to teach something to a younger generation, is that at times people have frustrations and they might take it out on you. And if you take them personally, if you think you're the problem, like I did for many years, you're never going to see yourself as someone deserving of love. So when I try to explain it and people won't understand it and they don't see how good they are, and I used to get frustrated, but that was my PTSD. So my frustration was like, oh my God, but stop doing this. And you know what? By doing so, I didn't realize I was going against the free will of another person. And that is a huge, beautiful lesson that now allows me to help people without indoctrinating, without conditioning them, or without forcing them to see what they can see on their own whenever they go through their journey. So it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Let me see what else it says here. It says, verse 16, it explains that Jeremiah internalized, cherished, and found joy in God's word despite the painful message he had to deliver. That is true. It is painful if you're attached to an outcome, but it's not painful when you allow it to liberate you. Because people can think they can hold something against you, but at the end of the row, it only has power if you allow it to bother you. And I remember the message I put out yesterday. It was a strong and hard message. It was truth. Because sometimes we can see things that other people cannot see. Yet, even though it was truth, it was harsh truth. And sometimes people are not ready to hear the harsh truth. And that's why I allow people to do themselves. Do yourself. Why? Because it's simple. If anyone wants to learn something, they have to experience it. And in order to experience this, like, you have to be open to the experience. You have to be open to being vulnerable and being not only loyal, but committed to always being authentic and not being fake. And it's fun because at times I used to hold myself back. Even if things bother me, I wouldn't say them. And I don't think it was because I was scared of saying them, because I'm pretty blunt. I think that the reason was I didn't want to hurt another person telling them the truth in the moment. Not because I wanted to lie, but because it may not have helped the person heal. So I understand some people need tough love in order to heal, but others need compassion in order to heal. And a lot of people have been thinking that compassion is pity, and it's not. Pity is different. Pity is when you do something because you want to feel good about it. I don't do that. I don't want to feel good of healing people. I want people to feel good with themselves, and that is a very different message. And sometimes you have to give like tough love to people because they're being enabled so many times around and around, and people around them are still promoting the bad habits. But it's not my place. It's not my place. And when Abba speaks, we listen. It's not my place because learning how to respect free will starts with me. It doesn't start with those outside of me. It starts with me. So that's why I just record messages here. I might mumble. My mind can go south because I decided not to use Chat GPT or Copilot to have a bullet point in front of me, because that's, for me, it wasn't natural. It was scheduled. I don't care if I'm rampaging not rampaging, but just mumbling for a while I catch my thought. That's more genuine. But it was nice because it structured me to learn how to structure other things that I needed to structure. And I accomplished a lot this month. In the company that I decided to become an influencer and start moving the product, I reached, I think it was in 2-3 weeks, I reached 4 levels. And I got like 2 gifts and a lot of side sales, and a lot of people learning how the product have helped me and using the product. And it's beautiful because I'm not only helping myself rebuild after all the medical bills that I had, but it's beautiful because I'm giving myself a chance to start. Not to start again, to start. Because when you start again, it means that you were defeated. I always believe that you're never defeated. You're never defeated because you are in the space that you need to be in order to heal so you can come back home to you and be yourself without having to apologize and not being unapologetically yourself, like people say. Because when you're unapologetically yourself, you dismiss what others can feel. But when you live without having to apologize, you live being sovereign, honest, loyal, committed, and not care about people that try to push you down. There's a lot of people that expose themselves, like I did once, into platforms like this. And there's a lot of haters that will come and say X and Y. I never saw myself as a hater until I'm like, yeah, that's not right. And I started laughing, not because I'm mocking, it's just because we believe we're doing so great things for people, and we're not. So I guess that part of the awakening is realizing how that ego played a role in all your experience because your heart was closed. It was a water dam waiting to erupt. And that's why I say sometimes prayers are tears, because when you cry, you're not only praying, you're releasing. And a lot of people make other people hold back their tears with so stupid lies that I wish people will embrace allowing their emotions to show naturally. It's just a thought. I hope it helps. At least bring you peace and knowing that there's nothing wrong with crying. There are prayers. It's cleansing. Your body's water, and if you have a stuck emotion, you have to clear it out. And if you hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it, like every pebble that you pick, it's not only the cross is gonna get super heavy, but your heart is. Because you want to do things from your heart and you can't, because you're already carrying so many burdens and paying attention to what everybody says, that you forget that you do have a heart that wants to crack open and love genuinely, not fakely. So when you see yourself there, you're going to understand what I said yesterday. Heartbreak is an illusion that is created to open your heart. Peace. Good night. Love you all. Take care.